Presley here in lane 6. I'll play the entire 200 IM and then go back and talk about each of the strokes a little bit afterwards. Okay, final time 3:01 by 50. The fly was a 40, the backstroke was a 45, the breaststroke was a 57, and then the freestyle was a 38. So fly and free are solid there. Freestyle being faster than fly is actually pretty unusual. Normally, fly is the fastest split of the four, so it's nice that you're able to have some closing speed there. Obviously, that breaststroke split really sticks out as being well over 50, while everything else is 45 or faster. So, taking a look back here at the technical side of things. So, on the start, I like that your feet are already set where you want them. You're here in a nice, relaxed position. Sort of as you take your mark and you're off. You want to engage the hands a little bit. You do a nice job reacting with the feet immediately, with the legs, but your hands didn't really do anything to the blocks. So you want to start to think about throwing the blocks behind you, so they, like, if in theory you throw it behind you into the window or something. Okay, but anyways, you do a nice job getting your hands into streamline here. Upper body's in a good position, and then your legs are together. We want to start to work on is getting a little bit at more of an angle here. You get kind of flat. It doesn't get you quite as deep as I would like, but it doesn't affect your race too much here. On the butterfly, each stroke you do a nice job of thinking of rolling the hips to the surface of the water here. But what we have to avoid is diving down with each stroke. So notice here you're pressing after the stroke and you're going all the way underwater. Now you're rising all the way back up to get your arms out of the water and then again pressing into the water. So while butterfly does have this kind of like up and down motion, what we have to avoid is diving underwater with each stroke and really start to think about staying forward. Each stroke should be taking us forward and then rolling the hips to the surface still, but not at the sacrifice of diving underwater each time. Okay, so fast forward a little bit here into the backstroke. Okay, so backstroke, in the 200 IM, you got to think of each 50 being its own individual 50 sprint. And so with the backstroke, you got to come up really spinning the wheels with the arms. You do a nice job really getting aggressive with the legs here, but the arms have to match it as well. With the legs, we got to think about kicking, deriving from our core and from the hip and using that whole leg motion. Instead here you see you're kind of bending the knee a lot. Like right here, that knee is really bent. It's above the water, and then this leg is coming down like that. We got to keep the legs a little flatter in the water, and we don't want to break the surface by nearly that much on the backstroke kick. Nice neutral position with the head here. Looks like the hands are coming back above you, entering pinky first the whole way, so all that stuff is good. All right, coming into the breaststroke transition. So from back to breast, you do not need to dive underwater like this. I think I told you this at the meet or at practice recently. So from here, you probably could have taken another stroke with your right arm and you just would have hit. We haven't practiced crossover turns. We'll get there eventually. But what you don't want to do is dive down like that. All right, with breaststroke, nice job kicking at the end of the arm extension. What we want to try to do is angle these eyes down towards the water and then get your head into line with the rest of your body at the end of each stroke. Your back appears to be in a nice strong position right here. We're just sinking too far underwater. So again, just like butterfly, you got to think about keeping the hips high in the water. Like your hips are never coming to the surface, but your back is actually in a pretty good position here. It just comes underwater because it's going to match what your hips are. So again, your hips are going to follow the body. Your head basically directs the rest of your body. So the hips will follow your head. And so when you're extending at the end of the stroke, your head should then be looking down towards the bottom. Your hips will follow. Think about rolling those hips to the surface. Like I said, your back is in a nice position. So if you can just get the head and the hips kind of tilted a little bit better, I think it'll line you up a lot better and help you get some time drop there on the breaststroke. So here we are pushing off. You're already on the side of, I'm noticing that you're on the side of the lane line here as opposed to being right down the middle. And also the first stroke you took off the wall, here. With the very first stroke, you're taking a breath. So you got to hold that breath for at least one more stroke and get into a rhythm before you start the breath. Here, good aggressive freestyle, high tempo from the legs, high tempo from the arms. This is closing speed. I like to see it. Make sure, though, as we start to spin the wheels and see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel for this race, that we still reaching up front instead of hitting the water this early. The right arm does a little bit better job of it than the left arm, but the left arm you see here is entering kind of early here. Also, when you're breathing, you want to keep this arm up front, regardless of the distance. Obviously, like I said, I think before, in a sprint event, you're not going to hold it for quite the same amount as you would in like the 800 freestyle or the mile or something. But you still want to keep that mindset of really gliding, leading with the arm up front through the breath, and then start to initiate the pull after the breath has already been taken. Notice here you're breathing, that arm is pulling way underneath you before you even finish the breath. Okay, nice job. I think next time you swim, you can easily break 3 minutes. Pretty good swim here, 2 weeks into the season, and a nice way to end the meet last weekend.